around where it is now, we're seeing it drop and go back all the time as these two teammates just share a little bit of food there at the back of the group. There's where we are in terms of the race profile on the right-hand side. We've only got one bonus sprint to come, and that's for the bonus seconds. It comes up at 20.3 kilometres from the finish line. Very important that will be, because if Formula wants to challenge to take the jersey, he kind of needs to score those bonus seconds. There's also the situation here, though, and that's why it's interesting for Bahrain Victorious, is that in terms of the general classification, Jonathan Milan is not too far away, and neither is Buitrago. Buitrago 1 second away from second place. Milan is a few seconds behind in 24 seconds in 5th place. Here's our green jersey. The Portuguese rider, Ruben Guerreiro. Rolling along, was very relaxed this morning, very happy to be in that green jersey after doing so much work. He's prepared specifically for the race, having been in Sierra Nevada doing altitude training. Really wanted to come out at the start of the season looking strong and showing that the faith that Movistar had put in him by giving him a 3-year contract was well paid back. Here's Jonathan Milan in that red jersey. Today's race finish could suit Milan more than it will suit Dylan Groenewegen. It's a long uphill drag away from the Maria where we started yesterday. The riders got the opportunity to go and see the Maria finish yesterday. They were able to see where the finish line was going to be set up, and it was already being set up by the start. So the overarching feeling about this race finish is that it's a very tough one and maybe not necessarily a sprinter's day. But let's see what happens. There's Buitrago in the white jersey as the best young rider. Not too far in front, number 71 there, Case Bowl. And the Saudi Arabian riders rolling through, some of them still in the race, so they will finish with some riders intact. Here's the weather conditions: 18 degrees, humidity extremely dry, 20% humidity, pressure is at 1018, the wind speed coming from the south again today, 11 kilometers an hour, nice and gentle. It's nothing major to speak of. So the riders actually are covering this distance in a pretty rapid time so far. They're not hanging around. The critical moment for them today is going to be when we get down to Hegra and the gravel roads. There was a lot of discussion about the gravel road earlier on today. It's not a majorly long section, but it can cause a few issues for the riders. All smiles then for the Saudi Arabian riders. The team just enjoying the fact that they will get to the finish. Number 86 going through there, Al Shagababad, also in the race. These teammates always smiling, aren't they? They're very happy. Well, to have been invited to the Saudi Tour and to go up against this sort of opposition. They put a rider in the breakaway on one particular day. They have suffered their way through the race, but there's no doubt they've entertained us at times. They've kept their spirit. They might be a long way down on the general classification, but they're still there, and they are going to finish, and that gives them something to build upon over the coming years. These emerging nations, they don't have the history of this particular sport, but they're learning very fast.
Ouais, vas-y. 있다. 아, 좋을 거예요.
153 then is the advantage. There's the Bingual team. They'll probably ride for Malucelli today as their sprinter, but I do wonder if this sprint is way too hard. There's Dylan Groenewegen wearing number 11, the race favourite for the Jayco team. But I think this sprint for Dylan is going to be an almighty sprint if he manages to bring it home. I don't think I've seen Groenewegen win at the top of a climb like this. It's a long, long drag. It may well just be that slightly little bit too long. But perhaps he's able to manage his efforts and bring something special to the end of this race. We'll see what happens. There's the makeup of the squad. Barmer, Engelhardt, Meggetz, Posselberger, Reinders and Stibar. Yesterday, as far as the team was concerned, our highest placed rider was Luca Meggetz, who was 28 seconds down. Finished in 9th place overall. UAE Team Emirates. Felix Großschattner there. Flying 4th overall. He's 9 seconds behind Santiago Buitrago. Rolling along as Formolo moves up. Has he got something left? See whether he can bring this race home for UAE. He's very happy with his form, very happy with the way that things have gone in this Saudi tour for him. But Formolo is a real bike racer. We've seen him in Volta Catalunya. There's the makeup of UAE Team Emirates: Pascal Ackermann, Ivo Oliveira, David Formolo, Ryan Gibbons, Felix Großschattner and Vegard Steek-Langen. Fans of Pascal Ackermann, well, he's recovering now. I spoke to him this morning to find out why he has been hanging around at the back, getting dropped, and particularly on bits of road that you would never see Pascal Ackermann get dropped. Without going into detail, he's been very, very sick. So he's now recovered, he says. He feels much better than he did. Starting to feel like himself. He said the other day when you saw me getting dropped on that long uphill drag, he said I normally wouldn't even be that slow in the winter. I just couldn't do anything. I was completely and utterly empty. There's the wind direction, pushing the riders along at the moment. So a nice tailwind and side tailwind for this peloton to enjoy as we make our way towards Moriah. The wind a nice gentle 11 kilometers an hour for all of the group. With 60 kilometers to go, let's just catch up on what happened yesterday as far as any fines or anything are concerned. Nicolas Dallavala, as far as the commissaires were concerned, he was fined 1,000 Swiss francs, a huge fine. Was taken 50 points off his UCI ranking, which even hurts the rider even more than perhaps the money does. And the rider was eliminated for pushing the rider from Euskaltel-Euskadi. He was charged with improper conduct that endangers others. Sticky bottle fines for Adam de Vos of Human Powered Health and his director sportif, Henrik Redant. They were both fined 100 Swiss francs for their actions yesterday. And today the feeding will be until 10 kilometers from the finish. So the commissaires just changing the feeding rules. In terms of other updates, the medical communication, Kenny Van Rooij crashed again. Oh no, it was he withdrew just before the start because they think he might have fractured his left kneecap in one of those crashes. And Andoni Lopez, as we know, was pushed by Dalla Valle and he was out of the race. And such was the problems in that crash. Trauma to his right shoulder, suspected collarbone break or shoulder blade, and erosions to his left elbow and shoulder as well. And he was taken to hospital by ambulance. Such was the force at which Dalla Valle pushed him off his bike. There's the makeup of the Bahrain victorious team. And there they are, setting the tempo. They won't give in on their thoughts of winning this race. This is Elephant Rock. Sets in the Golden Sands and climbs 3 stories into the Saudi Arabian sky. The awe-inspiring Elephant Rock, one of the marvels of the Al Lula region. Pretty amazing structure, isn't it, that's just been crafted by the elements themselves to create Elephant Rock there, where a few days ago we had the team presentation. Marcus Hansen through to the front in the blue jersey. He's got an appointment booked with the podium later. Kamil Maleki goes through. Sitting on the back, 1-2-2, is Cyril Desal. No wins in his career. 23 years of age from the Bingoal team. Hansen just pushing through to make as much pace as possible. Sitting on his wheel is Kamil Maleki, who was the last rider to be signed for Q36.5. 27 years of age. 6th in the Tour of Poland, 2nd in the Tour of Hungary. The gap between the two groups now 1 kilometre between the two groups of riders. Marcus Hansen looks like he's recovered well from his exploits on day 1. Took him a little while to find the legs. There's Azam Abdul Munim, wearing number 82. Still sitting up towards the front now of this group of riders, still with that very, very fast cadence. Look how fast he spins the pedals compared to the rest of the riders around about him. Significantly faster. Peloton rolling along at 41 kilometres an hour, and now Zam is prepared to go through and do some work. Sitting second wheel now. He's obviously got bags of confidence, this young rider. And he did say to me a couple of days ago, well, maybe next year I'll be here with Jaco Alula, was his first choice, or Movistar. Both of those teams have got some sort of partnership with Saudi Arabia. Alula sponsoring the Jaco team. Saudi Arabia have a partnership with the Movistar team to try and develop young talent. Who's to say that Azam Abdul Munim will not be in one of those teams in the future? Maybe not next year. Maybe he's just getting a little bit ahead of himself, but certainly at some point in the future, you can already see he's got something, hasn't he? He's certainly got some fight. He obviously thrives in racing his bike. And it would be pretty tremendous to see if he could make his way into the World Tour at some point in the future. 23-year-old Belgian Cyril Dussel working his way through towards the front. Sits at 5 minutes and 11 seconds. Doesn't seem today, though, that the peloton want to give this group of riders any little bit of assistance. They're not giving them any significant distance to go away. They are holding them very, very close today. They're not prepared to give the breakaway any opportunity to win today's stage. Here's Kamil Maleki. Takes on a little bit of food. The riders need to keep themselves getting nourished all the way through the race, and they'll generally try and work out how many grams of carbohydrate they'll take in each 1 hour period. Some teams have got it so scientifically organised that, as we just take a look here at Etienne van Empel, that the riders will actually create a note each day of how much they've eaten in terms of gels and bars. Then they let the team know, and each next day the team will work out how much nutrition they then need to put back into the bodies to keep them as optimal as possible. It's become that scientific. It used to be that riders would just turn up at the start, put in their back pockets what they felt like, and then get on with the race. That's not the case anymore. They're taking on very specific nutrition. In particular, the likes of Team DSM, they have very scientifically prepared meals, and their food is completely measured out. Average speed of today's stage, I've just heard on Radio Tour, 43.4 kilometers an hour so far. So we are ticking along very, very nicely and heading towards the race finish in Maria. I know some of you like to know some of the riders that aren't necessarily the stars, or the stars yet. There's Alexander Ryabchenko. He's becoming an emerging rider, no doubt about that. He's had some really top places, and this is the makeup of Q36.5. Jack Bauer, the team captain, with 101 as his number. Mark Donovan, the British rider who moved from Team DSM. Then we've got Fideli, the Italian. Kamil Maleki, we mentioned, the last signature of the Q36.5 team. Joey Roscoff of the United States of America. Simon Synyok, who's a really good track rider, and Nicholas Zukowski, the Canadian. There's Jack Bauer, wearing number 101. Just keeping the pedals rolling along, making it look pretty easy, isn't he? It was quite interesting to see this morning as to how many teams are on tubeless tyres at the moment. So we talked the other day about the different tyres, the clincher tyres, which have got the wire or certain style of bead around the bottom, and you have to ping them off and take the inner tube out of the inside. That technology is quite old now, and we've got tubeless tyres which have a gel with inside them, and if a rider punctures, they don't necessarily go down straight away. It gives the riders a bit of an advantage. It means that they, when they puncture, they can be thinking about whether they just carry on riding for a period of time or not. And then you've got the tubular tyres, which is all encased tyre which is stitched together and then glued onto the rim. And those tubular tyres have always been extremely popular, and Groenewegen still riding them. But the majority of riders, from what I can see, are riding some tubeless tyres now. As we take a look down here at the Astana team, Case Bowl, we've got Martinelli, Chun, I think is out of the race now, Nibali, Nurul Qasim, Ryabchenko and Zakharov are the riders who are in the Astana team this afternoon. 52.9 kilometres to go. 1 minute 26 seconds the advantage for the breakaway group.
Ouais, vas-y. Discute avec son pote, là, c'est bien.
Movistar had a very good day yesterday.
Ouais.
Just trying to listen in there to what Marcus Norsgaard, Matthias Norsgaard, is saying to Ruben Guerrero. Guerrero looks pretty calm, doesn't seem to have any issues at the moment, just a bit of a conversation going on between the two riders. He's got the tallest rider in the team to look after him. The team started with Guerrero, Barta, Holman, Jorgensen, Cantor, Mühlberger and Rodriguez. The team's already said they're going to go with Max Cantor today for the race finish and let Guerrero look after himself. But Guerrero needs to watch out on a number of riders. In particular, David Formolo and Santiago Buitrago are two riders he cannot let out of his sights on the run into the finish today. He must make sure that he maintains some sort of position close to them, because there are bonus seconds on offer, 10, 6 and 4 at the finish line, 3, 2 and 1 at the bonus sprint. And if Formolo gets 3 bonus seconds there, just sneaks away, does it, then the game is on. The race is definitely not over at the finish line. Simone Consoni with the moustache, joking away as always. Everyone just taking on a little bit of food now. Here's the rundown of the Cofidis team. Fernandez, Alaget, Consoni, Edifine, Mario, Noppa and Walscheid. Cofidis are going with Walscheid today. I wonder whether it's a Consoni day. Such a long drag uphill. It will suit someone who's a little bit lighter. Getting to the 50 kilometre to go mark. We will head today into Hegra for the race gravel section through the south gates of Hegra at 36.5 kilometres to go, and then through the north gate at 28.5 kilometres to go. So about a 8 kilometre section. Not all of that is gravel, but it will be a place where the riders will have to be very vigilant. They'll need teammates round about them. They'll have to make sure that they are in a strong position. This is where the riders are heading towards the end of today's stage. Into Hegra, Saudi Arabia's first UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Nabatean site of Hegra was the southernmost capital of the Nabatean Kingdom, dating back to the 1st century BC. We've seen this a few times during the race. 100 different tombs. The most important one's number 29 tombs. But it's a pretty special landscape with an incredible link to history. Glancing at the front of this peloton, it gives you some idea of what's going on as far as the tactics of riders are concerned. It's John Degenkolb. Can he manage these troops alongside Alex Edmondson to bring home the big win for Casper van Uden? That's what they are totally focused on. I spoke to Alex Edmondson this morning. The whole focus, Casper van Uden. Let's see how the gravel section goes. One long line now of riders trying to bring this back together, setting themselves up for the all-important entrance into Hegra, where this race could get a little bit chaotic. We reach Hegra at 36.5 kilometres to go. That is why there is a big chase going on, because the teams at the front want to try and bring this a little bit closer so they know where everybody is in case there's any problems and teammates get lost in the gravel in Hegra. Setting the pace at the moment, Ahmed Madan, who's the Bahrain champion. Guerrero just out the saddle with his teammates round about him, and no surprises at UAE. All lined up behind, getting set, keeping an eye on Guerrero just in case anything should happen. DSM not too far behind. There's the Saudi and Arabian riders towards the back. .38 seconds is the deficit for Tabia Mikel Asparen, lying in the top 10 overall. Euskaltel have not had the best of races with that crash yesterday, but Juristi's been up there in the active sprint, so has Goiko Echea. They've certainly shown that they are willing to race and want to race hard. Have they got one final flourish to win today's stage? So just to remind you, if you've just joined us now, this is the race situation. The riders in the breakaway, the blue jersey of Marcus Hansen, Kamil Malecki of Q36.5, Serial Desal of Bingoal. We've got Thromin Juristi of Euskaltel Euskadi, Alessandro Iaki of Team Corotec, and Etienne Van Empel, also of that Team Corotec, a Dutch rider who was third in a Tour of Taiwan. Little drink for Ruben Guerrero. He'll be eating and drinking all the time. He won't want to get to the end of this fifth stage with a deficit. This final uphill section is going to take a huge amount of energy. So riders are always taught from very early age, eat and drink all the time. Keep the carbs going in, keep the water going in, keep the electrolytes going in. Now cycling really is becoming a sport of nutrition. I've heard Tadej Pogačar, he was quoted at the end of the season saying that cycling is a nutrition strategy sport. Got to get your nutrition absolutely right. And now there's all sorts of monitoring that goes on with riders to just try and make sure that they understand their bodies and they know exactly what they need. Not allowed to use them in racing, but the likes of the Super Sapiens monitors that riders are now using, particular, the Jumbo-Visma team are not riding in this race. They do use those monitors in training, and many teams do. It gives them the ability to just understand how a rider is burning fuel. They're then able to tailor a nutrition strategy to that particular rider to try and help them get the very best out of themselves. We've been treated to some pretty incredible landscapes over the last week, haven't we? There are these desert scenes with these incredible rocks. We're lucky enough to be here, and we do spend a lot of time talking about how these rocks could have been formed in the first place, and then also when you look at all the strata, the lines of the rocks, and then the caves and everything else that are concerned. It's a pretty unique place, this particular landscape. Wind now coming from the left-hand shoulder, as you can see. Now, just in terms of other competitions and how close they are, not everything has been decided as yet. The green jersey competition is still open to interpretation. The blue jersey is now decided, so we know exactly where that is going. The most active rider will be Marcus Hansen. The best young rider classification, Buitrago has a 15-second advantage on Jonathan Milan, but that's his teammate, so I wonder they probably won't be dealing with any major issues in that squad. One thing that is important is the points jersey classification, the red jersey. Jonathan Milan has 27 points, and so does Dylan Groenewegen. There are points from 15 points for the winner downwards. So basically, whichever of those riders finishes ahead of the other, as long as they're in the points, they will take away the red jersey at the end of this race. Although there is a couple of twists in that, and that is Cees Bol and Soren Warrenskold, who've both got 22 points. So they can close in if there was a situation, if Milan or Groenewegen got dropped or crashed or had a puncture or something like that. There is the possibility of Cees Bol or Soren Warrenskold taking the points classification. So we'll just keep a good eye on that. This gap stabilised at 1:43 now, 42.9 kilometres to go. And we're 6 kilometres from the south gate of Hegra, where this race will light up into the gravel. Saudi Arabia still represented at the front of this peloton. Throughout the race, some of you like to know what the situation is with different sponsors. We've talked about a lot of the teams over the last week or so, but whilst we've still got a little bit of time as we work our way in, we'll just take this left-hander. Very fast left-hander, a bit of sand on the inside of the corner. Looks like everybody's pretty much safely round there. A couple of riders taking very wide run into that particular turn. Corey Greenberg of Human Powered Health just having a mechanical as he went round that turn. So on the front of the race, we've got Team Jayco Alula. They've just swung off to let Bahrain Victorious do the pacemaking. Bahrain Victorious in terms of their sponsors. They're of course sponsored by Bahrain. Victorious is the investment company or their sports investment properties in Bahrain itself. So when you see the polo team and the horse racing stables of Bahrain, they've got the Victorious logo on them. That's why they're called Bahrain Victorious. Movistar here, they are of course the huge telecoms company, part of Telefonica, and it's the Spanish arm of the Telefonica particular company that they're sponsored by, and have been sponsored by them for many years. Up towards the front, Jayco Alula. Jayco is a motorhomes company. Jerry Ryan is the main benefactor of this team. He's the person who puts the money into this squad in particular in the last few years. Jayco being that motorhomes company that he owns. He's also owned the likes of Mitchelton when they were Mitchelton Scott. But now they've got this alliance and sponsorship with Alula. That means that the team really has become stabilised over the last couple of years while that sponsorship has bedded in. Corotech we talked about a couple of days ago. They're sponsored by their bike company, as you can see. Euskaltel, another telecoms company in the Basque Country. Q36.5 have got a number of different sponsors, but the headline is a clothing company. And the companies that also sponsor including Breitling Watches and UBS. It's getting to be quite hard out here now as this breakaway tries to hold off this peloton, which is roaring along with a gap at 1:45. All of these cycling teams are funded by sponsorship in some form, and they're constantly seeking new backers. The World Tour teams, the likes of Jayco, Movistar, they seem to have quite a lot of stability now, but they are one step away from not being a stable squad, so they're always on the lookout for new sponsorship, new partnerships, trying to look at innovative ways in which the team can stay afloat. And now the teams can really be invested in as we fly past the incredible tomb of Lian bint Kuza, which is right in the centre of Hegra, one of the most incredible tombs. 29 of them are the main tombs that you can see dotted around the skyline, and we had a little look at this yesterday. The riders are edging their way towards the tomb of Lian bint Kuza now, and not far away from entering the south gate of Hegra, making their way through the gravel and then back onto the north gate of Hegra and head then towards the race finish. The bonus sprint will be just after Hegra itself at 20.3 kilometres to go. As I was saying then, these World Tour teams, huge setups now, big sponsorships, not as big as Formula One or football, but starting to become stable and pretty large. Movistar have got their headquarters down in towards Pamplona. Astana moving up in that turquoise kit. Astana is, of course, the capital of Kazakhstan, or the name that they use as the capital of Kazakhstan now. DSM, a huge company, Royal DSM as it's known, as we come up to one of the other incredible tombs here in Hegra, which we are going to race past any moment now. You can see the photographer's camera just getting ready for this run into the gravel section in Hegra, where this race has got to be controlled by Movistar to look after Ruben Guerrero in his first ever race for the team in the green jersey as the race leader. One kilometre to go then to the south gate of Hegra. 6 riders in the break. Hansen continues to work hard on the front. Such is his way of riding. He likes to be involved in the action, going on the attack, driving things on where he needs to. The gap now between the two groups, 1,500 meters. Just marvel at the way that these tombs were crafted into these rocks, and you think how much work was done in the 1st century to actually craft these tombs. A place that now is getting more and more well known, and over the coming years I'm sure it's going to be the tourist attraction of Saudi Arabia. Now the pace starts to go up. This is important. Everybody trying to get in position as we head towards Hegra. And UAE Team Emirates are going to be first into this right-hand turn with the acceleration there with Ryan Gibbons. The rest of the squad looking after the interests of David Formolo. Formolo is a formidable rider on this sort of terrain. So Guerrero needs to be very, very careful. Now it's a block at the front. Formolo's finished 2nd in Strade Bianche, remember, which is all on the white Starati roads of Tuscany. Here we have the red-orange colours of the gravel in Hegra itself. But Formolo knows exactly how to ride on this terrain. Guerrero's got to stick close to him. Formolo, the 30-year-old rider, stage winner in the Giro d'Italia, stage winner in the Dauphiné, stage winner in Volta Catalunya back in 2019. And we're going to listen out for any punctures, crashes or problems on this gravel section. We're near the gravel now with the peloton. Bahrain just checking around to make sure Buitrago is there. UNOX now fighting their way to the front as well. There's a little bit of shoulders as we work our way through there. And now we're onto the gravel. You need to be near the front. The tempo is pretty prolific, isn't it? The green jersey to the top of the picture, sitting about 5 rows back if you're trying to pick him out. Formolo looking for an opportunity. The rider's just chewing dust now, chewing sand. Right-hand side almost glowing their way out of the dust is the Bingoel team. Look at that neon yellow coloured kit. Jack Bauer, left-hand side, a classics rider. Puts himself into position for the next turn. The riders will not go absolutely flat out through this right-hander. They'll just make sure they're safely through it. And Bauer accelerates out. See the difference in technique at the back. Struggling a little bit, Manubo Ishibashi. Also struggling now, Hassan Al-Juma. Little group of riders starting to break away. 51 kilometers an hour, this pace is pretty hefty. See the Saudi Arabian riders just trying to hang on at the back, hoping for the pace just to calm down a little. Not so sure it will do. Well, the pace really is being pushed on now. Little speed bumps as you see the riders take some air. One rider going clear. Just trying to see who that is. Looks a little bit like the rider in red. The rider's just been warned that wherever there are cones along this section, there is a speed bump, so you have to be very careful. Hani Amroun racing his way towards the finish. He's 33 kilometres from the end of to this Saudi tour. That'll be a pretty important moment for them. Past this tomb on the left-hand side. Little gap starting to open up in this group. Here's our front group of riders. 103, they're still holding their lead. On the front now. Cyril Desal, 23 years of age, kicking on with the pace. Hansen on the back. I'm sure the riders will just take a little moment to just glance across and see the sort of splendour and history that they are riding past. It's not lost on these riders that they spend their time travelling the world and seeing areas that very few people have yet been able to see. Peloton is all groups. Next little speed bump comes up. One team setting the pace on the front. No major attacks yet, no punctures of any of the star favourites. Remember our general classification, Guerrero 8 seconds ahead of Formulo, Buitrago at 9 seconds, Großschartner at 18, Jonathan Milan at 24, Case Bowl at 32 seconds. See that gravel under the tyres of these riders. So far everything is holding up. Many riders had tubeless tyres on this morning. UAE behind Team Movistar. Guerrero looks very comfortable at the moment in that green jersey. Look at the tempo of these riders as they traverse their way across this incredible natural landscape. Problem then for Guillaume van Kiersbuch, who's a rider who will love this sort of terrain. Tyre's gone straight down. It's a shame for Guillaume van Kiersbuch. All you can hear on Radio Tour is speed bump all the time. Movistar with Guerrero in third place. Jan van Kiersbuch, stage winner in the Eneco Tour, winner of Le Samin, also won the Antwerp Port Epic. 31 years of age now, Guillaume van Kiersbuch. Matthias Norsgaard looking after Guerrero superbly right now. Ryan Gibbons up towards the front. I wonder whether if when they get to the line, towards the line, Gibbons is going to be given a free rein. And he might get the opportunity to win the stage for UAE. It's the sort of sprint that would suit Ryan Gibbons. So what they might say is, let Formulo look after himself with the rest of the team, and then Gibbons try and go forward to win the stage himself. I know he was frustrated the other day when he had an opportunity, then had a mechanical problem just before the finish line. Gibbons is a good shout as a possible winner today. So is Soren Varenshold again. He could win today's stage. Jonathan Milan, Kees Bol, Dylan Groenewegen, I'm not sure we'll get to this finish line at the front. Let's wait and see. Yuma Koishi on the back. Looks to be riding pretty comfortably within this peloton at the moment. Yuma Koishi, 29-year-old rider from the Ukyo team, used to be the Asian under-23 champion. That was back in 2015. That speed bump's a bit violent, isn't it? 29 kilometres to go, and Juristi is putting on the tempo. Only 42 seconds now is the advantage for the leading group of riders. And a problem here for Juan Jose Lobato. Looks like he's got knee issues. Holding that left knee, seems to be in a lot of pain. Still Movistar looking strong. What a show they put on during this week. Marcus Hansen driving forward now to try and keep this breakaway ahead until they get to the tarmac. We're going to make our way out of Hegra very shortly, out of the north gate of Hegra, and head towards the bonus sprint, which will come up in 8 kilometres time. There's the north gate. It will feel a lot smoother any moment now. A little cat's eyes to deal with as they came out of there. You do find on some of the junctions in Saudi Arabia there's loads of flashing yellow cat's eyes, and they can be a little confusing at times. In the daytime though, you've just got these little bumps that you need to find your way over. It's not the easiest. It's a very weird corner, this one as well, isn't it? So the peloton out of the gravel section. Everybody is safe, no major problems, no issues for the key favourites, no attacks of the favourites. Problem though, and this is a big problem for, and having just said that, for one of the favourites, Xavier Zasparin in the top 10 overall is now chasing, and now we get a big attack from the peloton. One rider going clear for the Q36.5 team, wants to get himself across to the front of the race, and this is Mark Donovan. Donovan attacks hard. Former member of the team of DSM, a 23-year-old rider. Donovan absolutely flew out of that peloton. Well, we've seen Donovan perform very well in a Grand Tour previously. We think back to La Vuelta. Donovan finished on fourth on a stage back in 2020. Also last year in the Tour, 2 years ago in the Tour de France, he was in a few breakaways as well. Also finished fifth on a stage of La Vuelta back in 2020 as well. He's come very close to some big performances. Having made the move though from the team of DSM, he grew up in Team Wiggins. Moved to what was Team Sunweb in 2020, became Team DSM. He's now in Q36.5, having made the move during the winter. Big acceleration. And Asparin is going to come back safely, guided by Goiko Echea, who was in the breakaway on day number 1. Here's our breakaway. Bonus seconds are coming up. 6 kilometers away. This group of riders is refusing in any way to give in, and Donovan is going to try and join his teammate Kamil Malecki. That will put two very, very good climbers punchy climbers into the leading group as we head towards the finish. It's an interesting move by this squad. Donovan obviously feels, let's just try and get across. He's obviously got good legs at the moment, that's why he's chasing. Because in normal circumstances, we wouldn't see this really happen. So he's taken the race on, and now the question is, has he got another 30 seconds in the legs to get across to that group? You can see it's pretty much now middle distance, isn't he, between the front group and the peloton that are chasing. Here's the attack of Donovan. Movistar thought about bringing him back, but he had already launched it. Little changes of direction at the moment. Some will help the riders, some will not help them at all. The wind is changing direction as well out on the course, but it's not too hefty, so it does encourage some attacks. But there's some lefts and rights coming up, a little bit of headwind, a little bit of tailwind coming up shortly, which will take the riders down to Mariah. He's now close. He's 25 seconds away from joining his teammates. And his teammate's going to drop back a little bit. Good tactics here by Q36.5. They're trying something a little bit different. Kamil Malecki just hanging back. Good teamwork by this squad. And Malecki, what he's going to do is just maybe stay a few meters behind, just to give Donovan an extra little opportunity. Keeps checking around over his shoulder just to see whether he's coming. Once he sees him just a few seconds behind, he'll go back and he'll bring him across. Donovan, who comes from Penrith. There he is. Flat out effort from the British rider. Hasn't had a big win yet. He's ridden 3 Grand Tours though. He's got 3 Grand Tours in the legs, a Tour and 2 Welters. He's also ridden 3 Liège-Bastogne-Liège and 2 Lombardias. Kamil Malecki now not doing any work. It's also good news for Kamil Malecki, because it means he can just sit on. He can just say to the rest of the riders, no, I can't work, my teammate's coming up. And the other riders in the group will understand that. And that's why when I was talking the other day about what was going on with the Saudi Arabian rider, that the 2 Corotec riders didn't really think that through, that he was a young rider, he was learning, and he was working where he could. Pro riders tend to understand if a team like Q36.5 say, I can't work for a while, they just accept it. They acknowledge that that is the case. Back of the team car for the red jersey, Jonathan Milan, getting his last gels on board, stocking up. Getting ready for the run into the finish. Jaco Alula on the front. Behind them Movistar with Guerrero. Behind them Bahrain Victorious. A little bit further back Cofidis, who've got a good chance today with Simone Consoni and Walscheid. As we're getting towards the end of this race, there's many teams who have got nothing out of this race so far, and they don't want to go home empty-handed. They will want to make sure that they get something out of this Saudi Tour. Still a Saudi rider is in here. That's Hashim, who has kept his position. And we're almost at the bonus sprint. Once we get to this bonus sprint, things are going to get a little bit easier in terms of the wind direction. Wind not anything major to speak of like it was a few days ago, but certainly they'll feel a little bit of respite. Let's see who's going to take the bonus seconds. Hansen looks keen. This was kind of positioned to see whether the peloton would bring the race back before here. And that would put them in a great position to try and set things up for the final run to the finish line. Hansen is going for the sprint, 500 meters to go. Maleki's going through. Serial Desala Binguel, 23 years of age, goes through to the front. Followed by the Italian Alessandro Iacchi, the 23-year-old rider. He's in the purple, and on the back his teammate Etienne van Empel, the Dutchman. The 6 riders continue, and I've just heard on Radio Tour that Donovan has given up trying to get across. He's decided that it's not happening. Jaristi on the front, Hansen tucked in on the left-hand side in the blue. 46 seconds. Jaristi takes the 3 bonus seconds. And this group of riders building their advantage back up towards 1 minute. Confirmation then that Jaristi took the bonus seconds. And there's confirmation that Donovan went nowhere. Got midway across and is now back in the peloton. And all the other riders wondering what that was all about. Good to try and add more troops to the front group. It's a big ask to get across there on that windy section. These helicopter shots really do bring to life, don't they, the scale of these rocks against the peloton itself. In that shot, they just look like a moving group of ants along the road, such as the size and scale of the rocks that stand above them. Movistar take control again. They know that it's important that Guerrero is at the front on this final climb. They can't leave anything to chance. There's too many bonuses. Here's confirmation that Jaristi took that 3 bonus seconds. Hansen took 2. Maleki took 1. Another left-hander now, and this is where the riders start to make their way down to Maria for the end of today's stage. They've just gone past Madain Salih on the right-hand side of the road. They've been through Hegra, and now they start to turn down towards Chial and then down to Maria for the race finish. Maria in Arabic means mirrors. The building that they're heading to is this incredible concert and entertainment venue in Alula, designed by the German designer Florian Bourget of Geoforma, who are based in Milan. It was part of he was the head architect, head designer, alongside his team who were working on the project. The peloton all lined out on this lovely smooth tarmac heading down towards Maria itself. Let's take a look then at Maria, a building of mirrors, the largest mirrored building in the world, designed by Florian Bourget of Geoforma. He found inspiration from the landscape in the same way that the landscape has inspired architecture and art for civilizations all the way through from the Nabateans to this day. It's located in the Ashar Valley and has hosted artists already such as One Republic, John Legend, Alicia Keys, and most recently Andrea Bocelli. A little bit shady under the rocks as we watch this group of riders continue with the chase. Oscar Rodriguez on the front of the peloton now. Behind him is Ahmed Madan. Movistar signalling their intentions today. All smiles from Gregor Mühlberger. He seems quite happy with the way everything is going today. They've safely got through that Hegra section. They would have been a little bit worried about that. They were playing it down earlier on today, the Movistar team, but they just said they need to keep the focus and keep their attention, make sure they get safely through that particular area. Ahmed Madan back on the front. 16.6 kilometres to go. This stage has gone pretty rapidly so far today. The wind now coming slightly, it's turned around and is coming more from the left-hand shoulder into the faces of the riders. We were expecting that they'd probably get a tailwind here. But at 11 kilometres an hour, it's nothing major to speak of. Well, we've enjoyed a great race, haven't we? We saw day one, Dylan Groenewegen take that stage ahead of Rajovic and Maximilian Walscheid. He took the first green jersey. On day two, it was Jonathan Milan who took the win ahead of Groenewegen and Kees Bol. On day three, it was Soren Walenschool ahead of Jonathan Milan and Kees Bol. So we get that theme of the sort of riders that we might well see at the end of today's stage. Stage 4 was a mixed one with Guerrero, Formolo and Buitrago took the first 3 places. And that leaves us with the jerseys being worn at the moment by Ruben Guerrero in the green with an 8-second advantage on David Formolo. Jonathan Milan is in the red points jersey but equal on points with 27 points on Dylan Groenewegen. The white jersey on the shoulders of Santiago Buitrago and the blue jersey on the shoulders of Marcus Hansen. We know where the blue jersey is going. Hansen will wear that. As far as the other jerseys are concerned, things are still to be sorted out, even at the end of that stage yesterday. Guerrero has to consolidate. 8 seconds. Jonathan Milan needs some points ahead of Groenewegen. Buitrago needs to just keep an eye on what is going on around that best young rider competition. Make sure nothing happens to him on this final rise to the finish. Very fast tempo now, 47 to 50 kilometres an hour. The breakaways making life pretty difficult for these riders. Well, the other day we finished at Chalal Rocks. It was there that we discovered this incredible little tourist place, the Chalal Cafe. We have to go on a little voyage of discovery in between the rocks, and eventually it opens out into a cafe where you can just settle down and get some refreshments on your journey. Pretty special place, the Chalal Cafe. 14 kilometres of racing now remain. Still the pace being set by Alexander Balmer. Well, last night at our hotel we ended up eating outside in between the rocks. It wasn't unlike the Shalal Cafe, all lit. Sitting outside in the landscape, it was very nice indeed. It was very cold in the desert last night, but the food was warm and the company was warm and we had a good time. But very different, sitting out there in the desert with the rocks all around you. Pretty unique experience. We've been treated to a few over the last week or so. Alexander Barmer's just peeled off to let one of the Movistar riders go through to the front to do a little bit more pacemaking. Rodriguez is the rider who is setting the tempo now. Kilometres are ticking down, but the gap is not being brought back very simply, is it? 36 seconds. You'd normally anticipate that the peloton would have called them by now. But they really are relaying through very nicely. Head of the race looks around. Out the saddle now, just trying to stay away. And with that little injection of pace by Cyril Dessal, one rider is dropped. Etienne Van Empel has gone. Now we're starting to see the splintering of the breakaway. Such is the tempo that's being set. Kamil Maleki must fancy this if they went all the way to the finish. Etienne Van Empel, the first to drop, the Dutchman. Has a little bit of a stretch. And he'll see the peloton pretty soon now. Racing now past some of the traditional tents out here in the desert. Around this area, the Al Jadiyah farms and lush verdant oasis. Lots of farmers have based themselves in this particular area to breed livestock and grow a lot of crops. Van Empel's court. Second place there, Alexander Barmer, a 22-year-old rider from the team of Jaco Alula. No wins in his career yet. Joined the team in 2022. He's got a contract to the end of this season. Previously was with the Continental team, the development team of Groupama FDJ. A very strong team that brings through a lot of good riders. Another fast left-hander. You can see just how quick they're moving, and they're not going to give up, are they? They are going to continue to push on. Maleki really robust on his bike, isn't he? Wearing number 104. A nice chance in these TV pictures to see this particular team in action. There he is, Maleki. Polish rider, 27 years of age now. Rode previously for Lotto Soudal, which is of course now Lotto Destiny. There he is, wearing number 104. Did ride for the CCC Sprandi Polkowice team from 2015 until 2019, until it became the CCC team, and then moved to Lotto Soudal at the end of 2020. Maleki, incredibly, has had no wins. He's had some great performances in short tours, including Poland and Hungary. He's ridden a Grand Tour, Giro d'Italia. Still the pace being set by the Movistar team with Rodriguez. Only 10 kilometres to go now, and still this breakaway is making life hard. Well, just a thank you then to all of you who've watched the Saudi Tour over the last week. It's been an absolute pleasure to invite you in and bring you these particular stages. We've had a chance to see some new areas, a chance to see some great performances. It's always nice to have the peloton in the sunshine at this time of year before we head back to the classic season and all the different classic races that will come up in March and April. There's a reminder on the right-hand side of the screen of the race situation. Guerrero 8 seconds ahead of David Formolo, Buitrago at 9 seconds, Grosjean at 18, Milan at 24, Case Bowl at 32.
Derrière.
UAE Team Emirates starting to move up. X move up on the right-hand side with Soren Warenskjold. Maybe they've decided to go with someone else. He seems to have his nose in the wind a little bit today. It's going to take more than 2 riders to bring this back. Because at the moment it's basically Rodriguez and Barma are doing all the work. Maybe they feel that they can bring this back on the final climb. 31 seconds now. It's starting to drop. Nothing else ahead for these riders apart from a long drag up to the finish from the Mariah. Queuing up behind the Astana team, getting ready with Case Bowl. Over the last week, we've seen Bowl finish 3rd place on stage 2, 3rd place on stage 3. He knows he's got good form. He told me earlier on today, I've got good form, I know that. He said he's not going to do anything different, just going to try and pull this performance home. He's very pleased with his new bike, by the way. He's got the classic drop handlebars, nothing different. But he's really happy with his new Villiers frame that he's riding and the setup that he's got. We're asking him what he thought of it, because we're thinking about what Mark Cavendish will think from switching from a Specialized bike to a Villiers bike. But Case Bowl says he really likes it. He really likes what he's been given. Happy with the handlebar setup he's got, and the bike is great for sprinting on. 7.4 kilometres to go. 28 seconds now is the advantage for our breakaway group. If you've just joined us now, let's recap for you. Hansen is there in the blue jersey, now the winner of that competition. Malecki is there for 36.5. Desal of Bingoal. Jaristi of the Euskaltel Euskadi finishes 2nd in the most active rider competition. And now only 1 rider from the team of Corotec, Alessandro Iacchi. Those 5 riders still have 25 seconds of a lead. Big fight going on now at the front. That's going to really create a surge. Little pinch point coming up. And this is what the riders were talking about. Little pinch points. And then the run into the finish is on a narrower road. Big wide road, narrow road will come up towards the end. Still a lot of firepower in the legs of Cyril Desal on that beautiful De Rosa bike that the team of Bingoal are riding. Now they're going to come out onto a wider road. This is not going to help them at all. We'll see if the peloton gets safely through that little pinch point. They managed to there. Now they're all together. 51 kilometers an hour is the tempo. as they now swarm their way all across this very wide highway. Not far to go now. Get yourself set for a really brutal finish. Not brutal in the fact of 22% or anything like that, but just because it's really tricky, it's technical, and then the drag up to the finish is really, really hard to work out. You mustn't go too early. Now we start to get onto a narrower road. A little bit shiny on that surface, as you can see. There's at left and right hand side. These riders still believe there's a chance. 11 seconds, but the Uno X team is hunting them down. They've come to the front. And now we get the attack from Juristi, again right on cue. This is what he's done earlier in breakaways during this week. Everybody reacts. Kamil Malecki immediately onto the wheel. It's going to give them a little bit more of a surge. They're refusing to be drawn in, and now the road will really narrow over to the right hand side as they make their way through the gatehouse in towards Moriah. The gate is luckily open. They're going to go whooshing through. There's the gap between the two groups. Another acceleration on the right-hand side as one rider tries to go clear. All the breakaway, dive and try and get themselves into the slipstream again. One rider is left wanting and is dropped at this point in the race. Looks like Juristi, with that big acceleration earlier, just doesn't have the legs to react. 4 riders are left. Hansen's still there. What a job he's doing, this young rider. At the back of the group of Uno X is Jacob Madsen. I wonder whether they'll go with him. Here's that climber. Varenskol just in front of him, but I think Varenskol will have the power to go all the way to the finish here. 7 seconds. Uno X are taking this on with 1 stage win. There's a few World Tour teams here who will want a victory. We think then of the types of riders who can win. It's definitely a Jonathan Milan sort of day. Is it a Groenewegen day? That's the big question. Is it more of a Stibar day? Pascal Ackermann, is he feeling a little bit better? Can he lead out Formolo to try and take the 10 bonus seconds? Could that even happen? DSM are going with, for sure, Casper Van Uden. Cofidis are definitely going with Walscheid, but it could be a Consoni day. Malecki now accelerates and accelerates hard. 59 kilometers an hour for the Polish powerhouse as he injects a little bit more tempo, and Malecki starts to ride away. Q36.5 finishing this Saudi Tour with a flourish. Malecki looks superb as he goes away. 3.1 kilometers of racing. It's a massive ask, but he's giving it some now. In a huge gear on that bike. Everybody surging around, swarming around the breakaway. The remnants of the breakaway are about to be caught. There's the gap. Uno X still over on the left-hand side. The breakaway has only 1 rider left standing, and that is the Polish rider from 36.5. And it is Kamil Malecki. Almost 60 kilometers an hour as he continues to desperately try and win this stage. 5 seconds now is the lead. This takes the pressure off the rest of the riders in his team, of course, as well, so they can queue up behind. They've got Sanyok in there, who hasn't really shown too much in this race, but maybe with a final chance. There's the Moriah in the background. We're going to go all the way to the right-hand side of the picture, and then we're going to go left-hander. We're going to make our way round past the Moriah, and then we're going to start the climb up to the finish. It's a long drag, and the finish line is up there at the top of the shot. Now we're on the climb. The start of the long drag, and over on the right hand side Groenewegen is still looking good. Luca Metgetz could give them the victory here. This suits him as well. Left hand side DSM getting ready for Casper Van Uden. That was the plan. There's our blue jersey. Hansen will be on the podium. Jaco Alula still with Groenewegen. What they're trying to do here cleverly is slow this down because they want Groenewegen to be in with a shout. Lucas Posselberger, he empties the tank, he swings across like he pulled the parachute. Human Powered Health getting ready. They're leading this one out as well. They've got right in the slipstream for Human Powered Health. They've got their Canadian rider Adam de Vos, and he's really powerful on this sort of finish. Now past the Mariah. There's still a lot of riders here, so maybe Groenewegen will get an opportunity. Very, very quick. The pace starts to increase a little bit more. Just over 3 hours and 9 minutes of racing as Andrea Pascalon hits the front with Jonathan Milan. Milan looking for a second stage win. But here go the team of Jaco Alula. And it looks like they've got Stibar there. Stibar is there. Groenewegen is there. Menkes gets set on the left-hand side. Here comes John Degenkolb wearing number 31. And a big attack. And it comes immediately from Pete Allaget from the Cofidis team. Here goes Pascal Ackermann on the left-hand side. Ackermann is going to try. Movistar have got Max Canter, but here goes Dylan Groenewegen. Groenewegen has found his way to the front. On his wheel is Kees Bol, being hunted down by Simone Consoni. It's a drag race between Consoni and Groenewegen. Here goes Simone Consoni, the Olympic track champion. Is it going to be Consoni? Yes, it is. Simone Consoni wins for Team Cofidis. Just behind him another Italian, Matteo Malucelli. But what a sprint by Simone Consoni for Cofidis. Fantastic sprinting. It was always going to be tough for Groenewegen. Consoni has tried and tried and tried in this race, and he gets the win he's been looking for. He got a 4th place the other day, but he timed that to absolute perfection. It's a win then in the Saudi Tour for Ruben Guerrero.
Ay, doctor. Que bien me encuentro, doctor.
Here's the sprint. Groenewegen kicks so hard. Kees Bol is there, Canter is there, but look at Consoni. Ackermann back on form up towards the front. That will give him some morale. But Groenewegen looks like he's got it. 150 metres to go. He comes alongside, though, Consoni. And then the Olympic track champion goes powering away. Malucelli closing very, very fast in the colours of Bingoal. And on the line, though, it was about 3/4 of bike length, giving Consoni the 3rd win of his career. Look at the effort of those riders as they made their way to the line. Simone Consoni takes his 3rd win. His last victory was on the 25th of September 2022.
Hey, Max. 3rd. Huh? 3rd. That's good.
Guerrero congratulates Max Canter with his position there. The 2nd win of the season for Cofidis. They're starting well.
How does it feel?
Movistar take a big win here in Saudi Arabia. to start their season, the first season without Alejandro Valverde. Ruben Guerrero takes the victory for the squads. Here's a replay of the sprint from another angle. Malocelli was closing fast, but Consoni timed that superbly. Pascal Ackermann will be a lot happier with that performance, having been so sick at the beginning of the year. Second win of the season for Cofidis, the first one, Brian Coquard, who took his win in the Tour Down Under. Ackermann there on the right-hand side. He's been patient, hasn't he, Simone Consoni, to get a win where he beats all the top riders in. Groenewegen is a world-class sprinter and Consoni's just beaten him. Let's take a look then at the confirmation of today's stage. Consoni takes the win in 3 hours, 10 minutes, 13 seconds. Malocelli in second place, behind them Pascal Ackermann. Groenewegen held on for fourth, Cantor for fifth, and Case Bowl in sixth place. Lobato, despite that sore knee a while ago, finishes in seventh. Here's the result of the Saudi Tour this year. Ruben Guerrero takes the win for Movistar ahead of David Formolo, with Santiago Buitrago in third place. That's our podium, separated by 9 seconds. Consoni, 7th place for him overall, courtesy of those bonus seconds he just took. Blue jersey Marcus Hansen. It will take the riders just a few moments to get down to the podium presentation because it's all the way down by the Mariah, so they've got to go all the way downhill. And this final presentation, of course, is the big presentation of all the winners. As we take a look out here over the banyan tree, one of the most exclusive hotels in the world. All those individual villas that house the people visiting this particular area. Some of the teams have been very lucky to stay there. Notably, the Jayco team got the chance to stay there, which is not a surprise because they're sponsored by the region. And we spare a thought for the Saudi team. The Saudi Arabian team now make their way to the finish all together. They're inside the time limit. They complete the Saudi Tour just 8 minutes down today. Their good humour has been what's carried them through every day. They've been prepared to talk and listen, and they've enjoyed themselves despite it hurting an awful lot. Here's the rundown into the finish with the reflection of the peloton in the biggest mirrored building in the world. At this point in the race, just take a look where Consoni is. Not in the picture yet. The Consoni move is on the left-hand side. His teammate Pete Alliget making room for him and then leading out, and that meant that Consoni was able to get on the wheel of Ackerman, and then things opened up. Alliget accelerating to try and open up that gap. The most important thing, though, was that you had to be sprinting when Groenewegen started. Consoni just has that endurance power. Look how far back Malucelli came from, though. See Groenewegen just tying up before the finish. Ackerman just got the better of him. Malucelli with that sprint. If he'd been on the wheel of Consoni, then that might have been a little bit different. This is the hotel on the other side of Moriah, Habitas. Similar kind of setup with all the little villas nestled all the way through the valley. This is more of a wellness style resort. Place to go if you want to relax and do yoga and things like that in the middle of the Asher Valley. The Habitas Resort then, in the middle of this huge desert. But the man of the day is Simone Consoni. Takes the third win of his career, the first one of this season, and the second win of the season for Cofidis. Still recovering. That was a massive sprint, wasn't it? Soigneur looking after him with drinks. He was very clever the way he worked his way up and then kicked hard when he mattered. Put paid to the effort of Groenewegen. He might be a little bit surprised about how fast the other Italian was closing, though, when he looks at the shots. Hope you've enjoyed the race. We'll wait now for the podium presentation. No changes in the white jersey. Buitrago will have that. Hansen will take the blue jersey. I think the red jersey, though, will go to Groenewegen. He finished higher up than Jonathan Milan. but we'll just wait for the final confirmation of that when we get to the podium presentation. Cofidis, though, this season have definitely come out fighting, haven't they? Already with 2 big sprint wins. Back on Look Bikes for this year, is that the added bonus? Well, looks like we're pretty close to this podium presentation happening. There's another look at the top 10 riders. Molicelli, Ackermann, Groenewegen, Cantor and Bol. All queuing up behind Consoni at the finish. Q36 with the work done by Kamil Malecki. Simon Staniok in 9th place. Milan down in 10th. He kind of faded on that final climb. Some of these on here, Simone Consoni.
First win this season for you, and what a way to win it on that uphill portion in front of Maraya.
Yeah, I'm really happy about today. We come here with a strong team. We always show that we are a great team here, and today I finish this incredible week with a victory. It was really hard because I'm still recovering about the sprint, but yeah, super happy and super proud.
But it was a finish really made for your capacities.
Yeah, I think yes, because I'm fast, because but against guys like Groenewegen or Milan, for me it's impossible to get the victory, and yeah, today was made for me, and I did it.
To win a stage on the Saudi Tour, you have to be an Olympic champion, a world champion, like Jonathan Milan, your pursuit teammate. It's special to win here.
Yeah, that means that we training well, because next week we will have the European Championship. So the shape of all the Italian track team is it's really high. So happy again about this win, and we can't wait next week for the European.
Yeah, I suppose for your confidence to win in front of the best, in front of Groenewegen, Ackermann, Milan, it must be a big boost.
Yes, of course. Last year it was the first year that I can do my sprint, because before I was the last man of Elia, and I showed that I'm also able to win.
And a first victory with your moustache.
Yeah, I mean, also last year in Paris-Chauny I won with the moustache, but I think I will keep it.
Congratulations, thank you.
Simone Consoni.
Yeah.
Olympic champion on the track, as he said, teammate of Jonathan Milan, Olympic champion on the track. So this week, the Italian team pursuit squad have won 2 stages. This is the run into the finish from the 2-kilometre point. We'll let you digest that and enjoy the action as it goes on. But the most important thing, I think, for Consoni is the realisation of the ability to beat riders of the speed of Groenewegen and Milan on uphill rises like this. As he said, he's got to be quick, because he was the lead-out man for Elia Viviani when he was at Cofidis. But now, given that opportunity, Consoni has grasped it with both hands. This was a sprint that you had to really judge. It looked like the team of Jaco Alula had it nailed. They really brought Groenewegen to a perfect position. As you can see, though, you turn this right-hander at the end of this road, and then it really starts to roll, and then it ramps up past the Mariah. The thing about these races now is that every single point counts for these teams. Look at the lineup of Jaco Alula. They really did have it nailed. Milan was just running out of power in those legs today, wasn't he? There he is. He's not really going anywhere. Moving up on the left-hand side, Ackerman. Ackerman being led by Ryan Gibbons. So they must have had that as the plan today, knowing that Ackerman was feeling a lot better. But Consoni, look at that sprint. Really starts to work. Malicelli came from so far back. There's the final flourish as he wins the stage.
On the stage.
Ruben Guerrero, congratulations. You are the winner of the Saudi Tour. How difficult was this final stage? I mean, I suppose in your mind it must have been tough.
No, thank you. Really happy, no? Me and my team. They did amazing job today and this week, all the staff. The sport director, amazing, no? We could manage to the finish. Actually, it was kind of easy. The wind gave us like opportunity to be relaxed. And this part of gravel was nice. Some attacks for entertainment and a bit emotion to the end, no? This final kilometer was tricky and technical. We managed to be at the front safe. I didn't want to, also I didn't have the legs to be top 10. I want to help Max, but yeah, was too many good sprinters and I just could finish safe and wheel, and at the same time was the priority.
You've already won a stage on the Giro. You are the best climber of the Giro, but this is your first stage victory. What does it mean to win a stage race?
No, it's special. This modern cycling is so hard to win a race. One-day race and stage race is even more difficult. So to the first of the year is even more difficult. But yeah, thanks to the team Movistar, first year, first victory, first race is amazing. Thanks to my family, helped me a lot, and I'm really excited and happy.
For your confidence, it's important for 2023. What is the main goal for your season?
Yes, I'm 28, but like I said in many interviews, I think I reborn again for cycling. No, I feel like 20. I had many injuries in the past, many knockdowns, and I managed to be here. And I'm more strong than ever, also mentally, and I have big goals for this year.
Saudi Arabia is becoming a place for the Portuguese. There's not just Ruben Guerrero, there's also Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yes, I'm more focused in cycling. No, of course, Cristiano is a big guy for us. He's a big inspiration for me and all the sportsmen in the world. And yeah, but I like more cycling, and I'm more focused in cycling, and I'm really happy to take this victory today.
Well, enjoy the podium, and thank you very much.
Ruben Guerrero won't be drawn on the comparison with Ronaldo here in Saudi Arabia. He's got big goals. We'll see how the season treats him. We're getting ready for this podium presentation. There's the setup of the presentation here at the Moriah. Dylan Groenewegen will go away from this race with one stage win and a red jersey. on the podium, the winner of today's stage, Simone Consoni of Cofidis, presented as the winner of stage 5 of the Saudi Tour. Simone Consoni wins the stage ahead of Malucelli and Ackerman. Next rider up onto the podium is Santiago Buitrago in 3rd place overall. Stage winner last year, on the podium again this year. David Formolo nonchalantly makes his way onto the podium. He finishes 8 seconds behind Ruben Guerrero on today's final day. He stands in the 2nd place in the podium. And here is the winner of the Saudi Tour, Ruben Guerrero. He follows Maxime Van Gils, who was the winner last year. Ruben Guerrero picks up the trophy. The first winner in 2020 was Phil Bauhaus. Buitrago 2nd last year, 3rd this year. There's our podium for this edition. Buitrago, Formolo and Ruben Guerrero on the podium of this edition of the Saudi Tour. The usual interviews now to take place.
يأتي الدور الآن على القميص الأحمر، قميص النقاط، والفائز بهذا القميص من فريق جايكو العلا الهولندي ديلان جرونفيجن.
The winner of the red jersey, Dylan Groenewegen, winner of stage 1 when he took the green. He's had a battle with Jonathan Milan all week, and he finally pulls on that red jersey as the points winner at the end of this Saudi Tour.
نبارك لفريق جايكو العلا الفوز بالقميص الأحمر هنا في طواف السعودية في نسخته الثالثة. القميص التالي قميص الأبيض لأفضل أصغر دراج برعاية
Here's the final points classification. Groenewegen with 34, Milan ended up on 28. And here's our best young rider. Santiago Buitrago of Bahrain victorious. The result of the Best Young Rider competition, Buitrago wins 15 seconds ahead of Jonathan Milan. Asparan, who had that puncture on the run-in, he finishes in 3rd place. The best team of the Saudi Tour about to be presented after the blue jersey.
The most active rider القميص الذي فاز به دراج فريق يونو إكس ماركوس هانسن.
He's had a great week. After the first stage, he held a number of the competitions, didn't he? He had 3 jerseys. He's now in the blue jersey, having held it for the entire race in his first ever appearance for the UNOX Pro Cycling team. Let's take a look at the final result of the most active rider. Marcus Sander Hansen, 18 points. Jaristi battled all the way, 16 points. And Barak in 3rd place. The UAE team. They're the team of the week. Started with 6 riders, ended up with 6 riders. Pascal Ackermann, Ivo Oliveira, David Formelo, Ryan Gibbons, Felix Großschartner and Vegard Steak Langen. Team of UAE with their sports directors as well. The best team of this year's Saudi Tour.
تحية كبيرة لفريق الإمارات وألف مبروك على الفوز بترتيب الفرق.
There's the confirmation of the team classification. UAE 13 seconds ahead of Movistar, who were leading that classification at times. Cofidis ended up in 3rd place. We'll look forward to finding out what Ruben Guerrero's aims are for the rest of the season and see how he performs. Certainly he started the season on great form. These races, without doubt, are good conditioning races for the rest of the year. There he is in the green jersey.
القميص الأبيض برعاية برنامج جودة الحياة ورؤية 2030.
A reminder then of our top 10 at the end of 5 days of hard racing. The wind blew and the sand was in the faces of the riders at times, but we've been treated to some really sparkling performances and the emergence of some new names as well. All smiles with Dylan Groenewegen this time. Hasn't got that long stare that he had when he was beaten by Milan on stage number 2. Points classification there of Groenewegen beating Jonathan Milan in 2nd place. 6 points was the difference. Well, we're going to bid you farewell from the Saudi Tour. We've enjoyed watching Groenewegen, Milan, Varenskol, Guerrero, and today Simone Consoli take the victories. Ultimately, Ruben Guerrero is the winner as we head now into the rest of the cycling season. Thanks for joining us. From me, Anthony McCrossan, and all the team here, it's been a pleasure bringing you the race. Bye for now.
يتمكن من الفوز